So let me look at the 10 big mistakes I think people make when budgeting. The first one is budgeting the same for each month. So people forget to consider birthdays, anniversaries, special occasions, stag do's, other things that are going on. So make sure you have a budget, by the way, and then if you are budgeting, remember month to month it's going to change depending on those special events or occasions that might take place, and budget for those in that particular month. The second one is shifting too drastically from pre-budget spend straight away. So you see something, like I said earlier, you like it, you buy it, you think doesn't matter, I'll make up for it later. No, you have to be disciplined, and it's a key trait and behavior to have a habit, to build that habit and then stick to the habit. So it doesn't matter how you budget, and I am going to share how I think you ought to budget based on how I do it. But the key thing to take away is to make sure that you actually build the habit. Whether you put 10% here or 15% there, it doesn't matter too much, because over time what's going to happen is you're going to self-correct through iteration. But if you don't make a start, then you're not going to be able to get to where you need to get to. The third one is people don't have an emergency fund. I recommend and suggest that you have a fund of at least 6 months of your overheads and bills in a savings account, slush fund, rainy day fund, call it what you like, but it's important to have those funds there, because things can go wrong. And when I used to say this previously, people used to look at me with dismay and horror. Oh, how on earth can I have 6 months worth of funds? And then something called COVID-19 hit, and people soon were facing possibly bankruptcy, facing losing their job, on furlough, not getting all of their salary, and then they had to eat into their savings. Those who actually had 6 months or more found it easier than those who didn't. The fourth one is those small invisible incidentals, although they're not that incidental, are the cost that you incur without thinking about it. So these are those teas, those coffees, and other beverages that you might take, going out for lunch, using public transport. Those small kind of things that add up, but you don't pay attention to them. When you budget and you list out all your expenditure, you then see, my God, I'm spending, let's say £10 a day on Costa, Starbucks, or wherever you prefer to have your tea or coffee, if it's tea or coffee, or whatever the cost might be. Then you add that up to the week, to the month, to the quarter, to the year, you realize, hold on a moment, I'm spending 3 grand on X, whatever X may be. That will soon help you focus on that and think, okay, maybe I need to reduce this. Not only will that end up being good for your health, more often than not, depending on the expenditure, but it's also going to help you to possibly reduce your spend on that. Now imagine you've got 3 or 4 things like that, where you're spending money regularly, frequently, and it adds up to 2 or 3 grand per item per year, and you got, like I said, 3 or 4 items, so you're looking at 9 to 12 grand per year on things you're spending on which you maybe don't need to, and you haven't thought about it, and you don't know it costs you that much. You'll soon start focusing on how you can improve that. The fifth one, and this is one we're all guilty of, and one that I'm sure you've heard of before, which is comparing ourselves to others, because no two people are in the exact same circumstances. Don't worry about all of those people who are ahead of you. By the way, do look at them, do look at what they do, how they behave, look at their habits, and use that as inspiration, so that if you want to get there, you can get there. But don't beat yourself all day, bang, 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 saying I'm not good enough, or I'm not doing as well. Think about where you are, think about all of those people you are ahead of, okay, and be grateful for that, and then plan and think, okay, I want to get to X point, which is something which you aspire towards, and work towards getting that by being ruthlessly focused on your budget. But don't beat yourself up about it. The sixth one, again, easy to fall into. People create a budget, let's say on a basic spreadsheet, and they think Their life's done now, they've conquered budgeting, they know exactly how it's going to work. They don't update the budget. Well, there's no point having a budget if you don't update it, because budgets change. That's why it's called a budget. So update your budget regularly, review it regularly, and then when you incur new expenditure, add that in. So that you can, for example, if you've taken a new phone, it's costing you £10 extra a month, update your budget for that every single month going forward. But try your best not to move away from the budget. Stick to it as best as you can. And what I do is I have a variance column as well. So column A could be budget, B what I've actually spent, C is the variance. Have I gone over or below? Below is good, by the way, but if you go over, there's a problem because you're spending more than you ought to. Number 7, cutting out all the fun things. You're not going to stick to your budget if you cut out all of those fun things that you enjoy. I mean, that could be having a coffee or a cake, a pint or a pie, whatever you like. Don't totally cut it out unless it's obviously for health reasons or other reasons. So keep some of the fun things in there, because if you take all of that out, you're going to be pretty bored with it. You're not going to like your budget. It's going to be hard for you to change your habits, and there's no fun in it. So we don't want to take the fun out of it. We just want you to be able to manage and control the situation better. So leave the fun things in there, but at the end, I'm going to share with you what percentages you could use for those things. So watch until the end, and if you like this video, click like so I know you've liked it. Share a comment. If you have a question, ask a question. I'll happily answer that question for you. If you have any of the comments in terms of the content, how it could be better, how it could be different, what other types of content you want, please let me know, because the more feedback you give me, the better I'll get at taking in the feedback and improving, changing, giving you what you want. The more you'll watch the content, and we'll have a happy and a fruitful relationship, and that's the aim of the game. Number 8, not working together as a household. I covered that earlier in terms of if you have a life partner or a spouse that you cohabit with, budget with them together. Doing it independently causes friction, problems, questions, issues, all the other things which if you have a partner you'll know about, so I won't spend too long on that. Number 9, forgetting to incorporate income tax, national insurance, corporation tax, all that into a budget. And people struggle with that a lot. That usually obviously applies more to people who have their own business as opposed to those who are employed, because obviously they're on PAYE and they get their income after tax. So a nice simple thing to do with that is to have a tax account and a VAT account with your linked with your business accounts. So you move the VAT, if you're VAT registered, into the VAT account every week or every month, whichever works for you better. Weekly is better, but even if you do it monthly, it's better than not doing it at all. Same with your corporation tax and your income tax. Move that into your tax account. Do not touch those funds, leave them in there. When it comes to the end of the quarter, pay your VAT, the money's there, you pay it. Same with your corporation tax, your income tax, the money is there, you pay it. Because what I find is usually people at the end of the year then, or the quarter, scrounge around trying to find money. They need an overdraft, they're applying for working capital, they're trying to get a loan from somewhere else, they're trying to get their clients to pay them quicker, they start offering discounts. It's all a downward spiral. Don't do that. Budget for your taxes. And number 10, people are busy. So not everybody shops around for the best deal. Now I'm not saying spend 6 hours on the internet trying to save £2, but do shop around, spend depending on the expenditure or the value of the product. If you're buying something for £2,000, spending half an hour on Google, for example, searching for the best price isn't going to kill you. If you're buying something for £10, don't spend half an hour. Okay, because even if you save 50p is not worth your half an hour. So you've got to value your own time. That I'm going to cover on a different episode in this particular series. And in addition to these 10 items, if you're still struggling, speak to a financial advisor or a friend who's financially astute. They'll be able to help you with this. They can even look at your budget, review it. If you're happy to share your personal figures with them, and they can point you in the right direction. There are loads of apps, so I'm not going to recommend one particular one to you. Find those apps, use those apps. They work pretty well and they are well worth having.